There are moments in life you want to remember. Some you want to forget. In a world of a new season comes a set of players with a thirst for glory. His focus makes him seem distant. Could this be his strongest asset? A new breed with a calm mind. Can he catch his opponents asleep? The champion's quest is to defend his title. He owns the tools, talent, and game plan. But does he have the heart? Growing tired of the young guns, the veteran must draw from his past. He's been there before. Can he finally close the deal? We begin the Bassmasters.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is presented by Bush.
I need a fish to start out today that I don't need to have to cull. There he is. Look at that. All right. Right off the bat. Second pitch of the day. That's the fastest start yet. It's kind of neat, though. I haven't even hardly fished on this side of the lake. I've been fishing this north side, but being that it's calm like this, we're catching these fish back in these arrowheads here.
Well, pitching a small worm into tight cover pays off quickly for Brent Chapman, and boom, we are underway. The 2004 edition of the Citgo Bassmaster Tour, presented by Bush Beer. I'm Tommy Sanders, and it all starts right here, right now, in the same place we started things last year, the Harris Chain of Lakes, right there in the geographic center of Florida. Natural lakes, a bunch of them, some huge, some so tiny you can't even find them on the map. Throw in a series of rather interesting canals, and you got a big problem for these anglers to solve. And there on the leaderboard, there's your story. Mike Iaconelli, the classic champ from last summer, picking up where he left off. Can he keep it going? How about another story? Marty Stone here last year, last place, 166th with 0 bites. Man, we got a lot going on, Jerry McKinnon.
You just think those are stories.
They are.
Here's the story. Last year, 2 days qualifying, 26 limits. Last week, same water, 155 limits. Pound-wise, last year we had 1,170 pounds. This year, almost 3 times that amount, 2,947 pounds. That's pretty amazing. I want to get these guys located now. Let's start with Iaconelli. He's 5 minutes away in a residential area just west of the launch. If you live in Palm Harbor Drive, Mike's in your front yard right now. Brett Chapman's just west of him through a canal and into Denham Lake. Marty Stone, close to home, Lake Harris. Bud Pruitt now goes up into Harris, through Eustis, and cuts back into Lake Dora. Tommy Martin's close to Marty Stone. Lake Harris, 5 minutes away. Boy, they get there in a hurry. And Scott Rook, he goes through Harris, Eustis, Haney Creek Canal. He's got a long way to go. He's close to the northernmost boundary of the event. And Tommy, I think Marty Stone could win this.
You think he can win it? That's your opinion, okay? But opinions sometimes are what it's all about. And with that in mind, we have put together a bunch of guys you need to meet. Some guys with opinions who aren't afraid to voice them, sometimes to the point that they may or may not need a bodyguard. But there they are. Right now, they're riffing on the subject of Marty Stone. Here are the Bass Rats.
The only one, the one that I kind of got excited about, who gave me some information that he said he figured it out this afternoon. That was Marty Stone.
Stoney.
He got on a little bit different bite. He says the fish have repositioned, or he found, I think what he did is he found pre-spawners.
Yeah.
Well, a guy that's on pre-spawn fish has definitely got an advantage over a guy that's catching spawn bass.
Analytical Stoney. I know he's going to sit there all night long. Well, I know they do this. If I got this bait on this line, I can't make that right cast. You know Stoney.
Oh, yeah.
He's too anal, but
Yep.
He's anal enough to really get it dialed in and go out and catch him tomorrow and probably have a good shot at putting this bag.
And with needing to swing for the fence, so to speak, on the last day, too. I mean, he could...
Anybody in this top, I mean, this is the top 157 in the world. So if you're in the top 6 here, you really showed something. You impressed.
It really, I guess I want to see Stoney win it. He's the only one that gave me some optimism.
Yeah.
But everybody else, Brent, Ike, every one of these guys. This is a legitimate shot to win right there.
Absolutely. That's a good start this morning. Look at that. Wired set, baby. Trailer hook, front hook, back hook in that little hole. That might have told us something. I've been on that outside a little bit. We come in here in this little inside edge. She ate it. That's the kind of females we need to find.
Well, Marty Stone may be onto something. Meanwhile, Mike Iaconelli is into the rain. What a great week we've had. Warm temperatures, but it's down to 50 today. The water temperature down to 57 degrees. We'll see if our classic champ can continue the momentum when we come back. Don't go away.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo, and in part by Bush, and by Triton Boats.
Back to the Harris chain of lakes in Central Florida near Leesburg, day 4 of the very first event of the Citgo Bassmaster Tour presented by Bush Beer. Championship day, 6 anglers left. And as you look at the leaderboard, remember, keep this in mind, no one has held the lead in this tournament for more than 1 day. Right now, less than 5 pounds separating positions 1 through 6. What a horse race. We haven't even finished our first cup of coffee today, and already Marty Stone has jumped into 2nd place.
And Marty Stone was pitching a worm with everybody else up until the end of yesterday, and he got on a real good spinnerbait pattern, and look what's happening here. And I have to say again that last year in this event, Marty finished 166th place, caught no fish.
You know, there's not a lot of inside edge like we caught those first 2 fish this morning out here on the water, but this is the water that I've been running all week, so what I'm doing, I'm going inside, outside a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and run through, and it shouldn't take but another 30 minutes. I still think I can catch a big female out here, but it's looking like they're wanting to be on the inside a little bit.
Bud Pruitt is winging it. He's junk fishing. He's, you know, Bud Pruitt's out there. He's covering water. He's in Lake Dora. He's in Lake Harris. It's not like he's really on a rock solid pattern.
That's why he's going down tomorrow.
Well, that's possible. Power tube. Bud Pruitt's out there. He's got one eye open and one eye closed. Okay. You know. I mean, he's going to have a little glass of wine tonight. You know, he's going to be mellow. He's going to be in this thing. And I mean, I just think, in my opinion, you know, and hey, I could be totally wrong, but I just think a guy that's relaxed, going out there, fishing new water, covering a lot of different water, got a lot of different ideas. I mean, he's got a heck of a shot to win this thing. And yeah, I'm partial. He's my buddy, but I just think he's due to win a tour event.
No, you're not due. You can take due and throw it out the window. I mean, you're due for a win. You're due for a win. We're all due for a win. You don't win because you're due.
I don't want to see Iaconelli win. I like Mike. God dang, he's got all the glory. He's on top of the world.
Yeah,
Share the love, brother. Iaconelli's on a flat-out roll.
He is.
I mean, he's won everything he's fished, you know, whether it's bass related or not.
Well,
and so
and that's the whole thing too. Your confidence is going to carry you a long ways too. And if he goes out there in the morning with a 3 or 4 pound lead, he's going to have a chance to win. That's
if he just goes and catches 5 fish tomorrow, he'll have a shot at it. But,
and if you catch 20 keepers in a day, your confidence of catching 25 more tomorrow.
You can blow the. I caught 20 keepers yesterday, and I couldn't catch a fish over 2 1/4 pounds.
Well, you stay doing the same thing then.
Yeah, you know.
Well, what does that tell you? Bud Pruitt has got Mike Reynolds in his corner, no doubt about that. And when you talk about Mike Iaconelli, you get as many different opinions as you've got fishermen.
That is right, and let's talk about Scott Rook right now. He is up the Ocklawaha River. Not doing anything fancy, just pitching a little trick worm in around those lily pads and all the cover that you can see.
Oh, it's a big one. It's a big one. It's a big one. Oh, he come off, God, no, oh. That was a 6 or 7 pounder. Not the way to start the day.
Well, Scott's hook is buried back into the body of the worm, making it weedless, and sometimes it just doesn't come out clean when you set the hook. And Scott did everything right, though.
That's the first one I've lost this week.
Well, now Scott has just got to figure out a way how to shake it off, and I know, man, it will be tough.
The little ringworm I'm using, I've got a 3/0 hook on here and a little 1/8 ounce sinker. What's happened is these fish are, a little spooky and, not really real aggressive. So this 1/8 ounce sinker makes a real slow fall, right in front of their face. So it's just kind of more of a finesse type of fishing. And little compact bait, it kind of makes it hard for them to resist.
Meanwhile, Scott Rook's head is still spinning.
And I came over, I was pretty pumped. I felt like I was going to really get a big fish over here, and I got that bite, man, you know. Hate to keep harping on that, but, you know, that's huge in this tournament.
Well, you wonder if he would keep harping about it if he knew where he actually was in the standings right now. He's less than 4 pounds out. That's half of a good fish in this tournament.
And he's doing exactly what he likes to do. Scott loves to fish rivers, and he loves to fish a long way from the launch area, and he's the farthest away of any angler fishing in a river system, so he is happy.
Oh.
He should be comfortable right now.
Boy, you talk about he ought to be happy. He's another guy like Marty Stone. He finished in the 140s, about on the bottom last year. And like most of the guys in the six-man field, he has completely turned things around in 2004.
You get a big bite like that. That fish was huge, man. You lose it and just, it kind of destroys you mentally, you know. Get a few bites and get your confidence back, and you'll get to going again. I needed that bite right there to get me going.
And he is going again, back only a pound back in third place now for Scott Rook. Now over to last year's Classic champ, Mike Iaconelli.
Everybody's out to see him, Tommy, and this is the only time you're going to see spinning tackle all day.
This is not my strength. This is finesse fishing, and I'm a power fisherman. I love to get out there and throw and chunk and wind and move fast, and this is the total opposite direction.
Mike's fishing around a lot of homes here, as you can see. He will not be lonely today. Throwing a little small worm, hitting the bottom with it. Not much grass back here. And look at his line laying on the water. He picks it up, makes contact with it. Not swimming to the right there. He's got a fish on there.
Big one. Big one. Big one. There you go. Yeah. That's how they eat plastic. Yeah.
One of the top 10 arm-pumpingest guys in professional sports today, our Classic champ, Mike Iaconelli. We're barely through the first turn of this horse race, and he's fighting to keep his head in front of the rest of the others.
He needs a limit real bad.
That's a good sign for me. That's my sign to stick to what I'm doing. I came out here, it was real slow this morning, it was real tough. I only caught one real small little keeper, but that fish gave me the sign to slow down and stick to my pattern. And I'm going to keep finesse fishing. I'm going to force myself to slow down. I'm going to turn my dial back on my trolling motor and fish slow and low. And that's how that fish came, slow and low. That guy's watching me catch all these fish this week. It's great.
From our leader now to fifth place, Brent Chapman. We talked earlier in the show about lakes in this system that you can't even find on the map. This is one of them. This is Lake Denham, which he's also referred to as Lake Levi during the week, which is understandable.
And this is amazing. He has nobody back in this lake. As a matter of fact, during qualifying, he brought Randy Blockett back into the same area. Randy ended up with 25 pounds. He's caught 50 back there, 75 pounds of bass so far out of this one little piece of water, and nobody else back there. I can't hardly believe that.
Man, Iaconelli's going to have to catch him good now.
Today, the whole field is going to have to catch him. When we return, a look at Scott Rook's track and a conversation with Marty Stone.
Anytime you're in Florida, but especially here, especially on the Harris chains, potentially on any cast, you're going to catch a 9 to 10, 11-pound fish. That's exciting.
Citgo Bassmaster Tour, our first event of the 2004 season, Harris Chain of Lakes in Leesburg, Florida. Day 4, championship day, and 5 of our 6 finalists chasing the leader, last year's Classic champion, Michael Iaconelli. It's been an unusual tournament, a big fish tournament, and no Floridians in the top 10. That's only happened 3 times in 36 years of Bassmaster tournaments. Take a look, though, at the Floridians who have finished and how they finished, and think of this. The guy who won his first tournament in the top 6 30 years ago, Tommy Martin. We let the Bass Rats chew on him for a bit.
Come on, Tommy. Anybody who's been doing it for that long deserves a win. I mean, he's one of the icons. I love him. I mean, you know, him, Plunn. I respect these guys that have you know, set the course and, you know,
And
made
you
it
think,
for us.
I mean, Tommy's a good grass fisherman. I mean, and that's what, obviously, that's what everybody's doing. He could make a run out of him tomorrow.
I'd love to
But
see
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would. He would definitely.
He was consistent for 2 days.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I think with the conditions happen right now, I understand where you're coming from, where Bud can really just go junk fishing and possibly come across a fresh bank that hasn't been raped and pillaged. You know, Tommy and a lot of these guys really,
they're locked on.
They've depleted their stretches.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right.
And so
Makes sense.
I'm partial young guys. I don't want to see those first win out here.
Well, maybe they're going to start biting a little bit. That's 3 strikes in a row, and I hadn't had a strike all morning, so pretty encouraging, really.
Well, Tommy Martin's got his fans among the Bass Rats. Others of them would like to see maybe someone younger take over
I
in this
am a
tournament.
Tommy Martin fan myself.
Okay.
We see changes keep popping up on our scoreboard from time to time, but Bud Pruitt, man, he just keeps staying on 48 pounds. He's about 5.5 pounds out. He's really having a tough time of it. So far, anyway. He'll get it together, though. Hey, Scott Rook has certainly got it together. He's doing a good job, and you can see he's fishing in the same place.
Dropped it back down there and to let it sit on the bottom, pumped it one more time, he got it again. I don't know why they're doing that. I just hope they're doing it to everybody else, too.
Back over to Marty Stone, got the quick start this morning, and he's hanging in there, still only 2 pounds behind our leader, Mike Iaconelli.
Fishing a Gambler Ninja spin. Doesn't have your typical spinner blades on it. It has what he calls a chopper blade, and you can see where his boat's sitting. He's still on the inside weeds. He's thrown that spinner bait into these little pockets, and you know what? If he stood straight up and looked real close, he could probably see the Leesburg Airport.
Marty Stone is already ahead of the game. This is the first time he's ever finished in the top 50 in a Bassmaster event held here in the state of Florida.
Now, these guys are not sight fishing, mostly because it's too dark and it's raining and they couldn't see the beds. However, Scott Rook is pitching every little hole he finds, he pitches it in there. Tries not to miss a spot, so you know he hits a bed every now and then. Uh-oh, Scott could be in business right here. He's going to make up for losing that big one right off the bat. I want you to watch how he makes this fish fight his rod. He never points the rod tip directly towards the fish. All these guys are great at that.
Come here, fish. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about, boys. Back in the game. Back in the game. One more of those and I'll be there.
Back in the lead for Scott Rook.
I guess so.
I'm pulling for Scott Rook. He lives right down the street from me in Little Rock. I have to. Hey, that was the most important fish caught in the tournament, I think, so far anyway. And I want to look at his track that takes you from Harris Lake up to the Ocklawaha. And last year there was a shutdown lock right about here in Haney Creek. That stopped you from getting into Griffith. You couldn't even get up to Ocklawaha. Not this year, though, and Scotty's probably 7 miles up that river from Griffith. And here's what he's doing. He's pitching a zoom trick worm into the grass using a real light weight, paying attention to what's going on now, having a real good feel, because look, you pitch that worm in the shallow water, a fish picks it up. You didn't feel a strike. Look at your rod tip, though. It stops right there. Bam, you've got a fish on it. Whenever it stops, there's nothing that could stop it other than a fish. Picks up the slack. Uh-oh, fish on there. He's ready to go. And you know what, Tommy? He's fishing a completely different technique than Marty Stone.
Yeah, Marty Stone, though, he's not in the lead right now, but he's certainly prospered today. And I'm wondering, Marty, why you think that the wind and the rain and all the elements are helping you out.
You know what? My experience in Florida is that when it's a sunny day, those big females like to come in and they'll sit down. On a real cloudy day, they'll still, because last night was a warm night. I mean, we had warm water temperatures and everything, and they'll come in, but they'll cruise. And what I mean by that, they won't actually set up on a bed or claim a territory. They'll just wander around and get ready to do it. I think they're still coming in, but the flipping bite got so tough yesterday, that told me they weren't on the bottom. They were more in a chase mode. And the way that fish hit yesterday afternoon and the way these two have hit this morning, that convinced me beyond a shadow of a doubt they don't mind chasing a little bit.
Right, so you're thinking the nastier the better then, huh?
Oh yeah, I want it to get I want it, and it will make the flipping bite tougher. And if you haven't picked, in my opinion, if you haven't picked up on the little change that they've tried to make, you'll miss this whole deal. And it's sort of neat too, because the spinnerbait fishing I'm doing, it's definitely not slow rolling. The harder you wind it, the harder they'll hit it. I mean, they have the ones that hit it just come unglued on it.
And right now, everything that's going on has something to do with the spawn that's just right around the corner and happening now, really.
That's exactly right. I think the next big sunny couple days we have around here, it's going to get crazy. They're going to come to the bank in mass numbers.
Well, Marty may be a little obsessive, like the Bass Rats have said, but he's got it going. Everybody's got it going so far. Brent Chapman just boated his third fish, which is going to make his wife Bobby and their new little son Mason awful happy, Tommy.
Well, Brent's certainly happy to have moved up the board in that way. You talk about some happy fishermen. Man, oh man, did we have them this week. A big fish week, to be sure. We sort of reworked the record book. We'll see some of those big fish and take a look at the first 3 days of competition. That's when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Harris chain of lakes in Central Florida, the Citgo Bassmaster Tour 2004 edition, first event of the year and its finals day. Championship day, 6 anglers left in the competition here. What a tournament it has been. Scott Rook is in the lead with 57 pounds, but look at that, 3 anglers in very close striking distance. What a race, what a tournament. Again, it has been all week. We have landed on the planet of the lunkers. Look at these weights from the first 3 days of competition. We'll show you some of those big fish coming up very soon here.
And I'm fired up, Tommy, I'll tell you that. Hey, let's look at Iaconelli's track. It's simple. He goes right out of the Leesburg ramp, another right at the first stoplight. Now he's in a gathering of homes and docks and metal seawalls. He's caught 50-plus pounds of fish out of this area right here. Knows all the people back there by their first name.
It's giant, it's giant. Please, baby, stay pegged. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. You know, I went about 4 hours without a bite. Wow. I beat you, baby. Yeah!
Well, with that, Mike Iaconelli moves back up the board, up over Brent Chapman and Marty Stone back into second place. Now, back to the first 3 days of this tournament. What was it? Some good luck, perfect conditions, the right place at the right time, maybe a little bit of everything that made things go off the charts right from the start of this tournament. Huge stringers of big fish, a total turnaround from this location last year. And one of the first to the weigh-in stand was a winner from last year, Alton Jones of Waco, Texas.
27 pounds. 27!
The big stringer of the day, and anchoring it, a 10-pound, 13-ounce monster that may have been the first fish caught on tour this year.
That's the first 10-pounder I've ever caught in a tournament, and so it was exciting. And really, you know, you catch them, the moment happened so fast that I didn't even think it was a 10-pounder.
Day 2, and things kept rolling for Jason Quinn, who boated 15-1 to take the lead by 1 ounce over the hottest hand of the day, David Wharton of Texas, who brought in a 26-7 bag. The top 12 got to stay for day 3, a stellar group, including E50 points leader Bud Pruitt and last year's Classic champ Mike Iaconelli. It was some kind of start to a tournament and a season, and the big bags mean big moves, and that's what happened for Chris Baumgartner and veterans David Wharton and Tommy Martin, who stayed in the hunt for day number 3. The third day was frustrating for some, including first day leader Alton Jones and second day leader Jason Quinn.
Well, no, I kind of changed up a little bit. I'd been catching some good fish, sight fishing over in Griffin. And, you know, I come back, I had some outside fish here that I could get bit on big fish. And I kind of stuck with it all day because the cloud cover hurt me. But they just didn't do it.
Finishing strong were Little Rock, Arkansas's Scott Rook with a 3-day total of 47-12 to move into third place. And how about this? Mike Iaconelli just building on to that momentum from last year's Classic Championship. 13:05 to take the lead going into the final day. And the big limit of the day belonged to Bud Pruitt, taking over second place with a bag that held the big fish of the day, this 6-pound, 3-ouncer.
Yeah!
Sweet.
Now take a look at Bill Poirier from Riverview, Florida. This is the guy who won the amateur championship. This first tournament of the year, a 3-day total of 22 pounds, 10 ounces netted him a cool $36,500. Not bad for 3 days' work. And speaking of amateur championships, let's take you back to the Open Championships on Toledo Bend. They're on the border between Texas and Louisiana. Of course, the championships among the top finishers from all 4 open divisions across the country. Our amateur winner there, this man, Ken Brodeur. A strong 31-11 as Ken Brodeur worked his magic from the back of the boat. Now let's take a look at the 3 names going into the hat for the year-ending Busch Shootout. The biggest stringers from the first 3 days of this tournament belong to Jason Quinn, David Wharton, and Bud Pruitt. Now at the end of the regular tour season and the E50 season, they'll put together all these big limits from each of the days of competition. The top 10 will go to that year-ending shootout at the surprise location, the Busch Shootout. Lots of excitement this year, but the excitement right now is out on the water. And Jerry, I know you're going to take us a little closer, a little inside of what's going on there.
I'm out of breath, Tommy.
I'm out of breath. You know I'm out of breath.
Hey, with the exception of Mike Iaconelli, all of our anglers are fishing in and around the grass. Most of them are on the outside weed line. And when that water tip gets up around 57, 58 degrees, like it is right now, these fish are they're gonna hang out just off that weed line. Staging, we call it. They're getting ready to move up and spawn, and the sun is so important in this process. When it comes out and the temp pops up to about 62, here comes the bass. Out of 4 or 5 feet of water into 2 feet of water maybe, moving through the weeds and the grass, looking for just the right spot. Now, those are the fish that Marty Stone's looking for right now.
What we're getting is these fish are coming in here and I call it sniffing. They're just sniffing for a place to sit down and just cruising around. And the sun's not out, so they're not convinced they want to come in here and stay. But they'll doggone come in here and they're sort of like, just look around and see where the best house might be at. And then when that sun pops out, they'll take up residence. And that's what we're catching. We're catching those fish that are cruising around.
Well, Marty told us a little bit earlier that he was going in and out of this grass. Right now, I'd have to say that he's out, kind of getting ready to go in. He's fishing the outside grass line right now. And right on the point of that grass line is where he has hooked this fish. Marty has started to understand just how these fish are positioning in this cover.
Things are looking up for the home team now, buddy. That is a pretty fish. Look at that, though, post-spawn.
And we're all beginning to understand how tight this competition is. With that, Marty Stone ties Scott Rook for the lead.
And that just shows when you feel like you got good water, fish through it again. We fished through this whole thing this morning. Never had a bite. Now look.
Rook, Stone, Iaconelli, Chapman, none of these guys are out of it. A tight, tight race. Even Tommy Martin, if he can keep this fish on, hey, he's back in contention. We'll find out what happens when we return. Now it's time for Citgo. We know what drives you. The heavyweight stringers and numbers of big bass caught this week on the Harris chain of lakes took many of the anglers by surprise. We'll tell you why when we return. 20 years ago, the Harris chain produced several heavyweight stringers and exciting tournaments. That all changed in 1990 during the Bassmaster Florida Invitational when Mike Volstad won the event with the lowest winning weight ever, 14 pounds, 10 ounces over 3 days of fishing. This event, though, quieted all critics, proving that the Harris chain has returned to its former greatness.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Motor Guide, by Flowmaster, by Lowrance, and by Spiderwire.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tour Championship Day on the Harris Chain of Lakes here in Leesburg, Florida. We have a titanic battle going on. Earlier this week, about 45 minutes south in Orlando, Walt Disney World, and check out who's the Grand Marshal of the Share a Dream Come True Parade. That's right, last year's Classic champ, today's contender, Mike Iaconelli, a busy guy since he won the Classic, promoting fishing everywhere. Here, a summit meeting with Goofy right there at Walt Disney World. He's even served as a weatherman on Cold Pizza on ESPN2. But right now, today, out on the lake, well, he's just getting a face full of cold rain.
Speaking of weatherman, what does he say about that? We've had some nice weather throughout the week, but today, boy, especially when these nasty squalls come through, it just drenches everybody. Hasn't hurt the fish or the fishermen, though, and oh, man, Brent Chapman and I hate slipping up on him like that.
Wasn't a real big fish. He'd have helped. He'd have been number 5, and, well, we'll just keep fishing here. Definitely getting a lot more bites, so that's the thing. When you're fishing for fish that are on beds, they bite really weird. They're kind of finicky, and there's a fish. There we go. Let's keep him on. Oh, whoa. Yeah! Made up for it right there. Look at that. Another good quality fish. Yes. Number 5.
Well, that is textbook right there. That's how you shake it off, get back in there and catch one on the next cast. What a great recovery.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Now these guys, is that the emergency crew?
Well, they've evidently seen Ike and Ellie out there fishing a little earlier.
Maybe they saw him at the Classic and they know a heart attack could be one hook set away, right?
Yeah, and where were they when it was pouring down rain on him? Yeah, they were all under the roof at that time. Hey, he does have a crowd out there, and he's going round and round in that little area that he's fishing. Look at here. Everybody's out. This is a spectacular day for all the spectators around the bank.
This is a great example. I've fished pads all day and have not had one strike out of pads yet. And that, in the past, in the last couple days, has been the predominant pattern. So it's funny how these fish change. Like Tommy said, like fish in the moment. That's really what it's all about, you know? Good! Oh, it's a big one. Oh, golly, it's a good fish.
Now, wait a minute. That is not a giant. It seems like every fish is an adventure for Mike, though, and I guess that's the way it's supposed to be. Now we know why the fire department was back there.
God, they were talking to me all day, and I didn't listen to them. Man, I hate when I do that.
Well, to say this is a change of pace would be an understatement right there. From Mike Iaconelli to the certainly more sedate, a little more in control Tommy Martin.
Well, I do want to say something about Tommy Martin. He is the perfect example of what kind of people we have out here in this sport. Tommy is a real class act. Hey, Tommy, this is a giant right here. Oh man, look at this fish. Look at that. You got the leaderboard ready? We're going to make a change on it. If he can get that fish in there, oh, he's going to be brokenhearted if he doesn't catch that fish. Tommy, get a hold of him. It's a giant. There we go.
Boy, outstanding.
That's what it's all about.
30 years ago this spring, Tommy Martin won his first tournament on the Bassmasters, Beaver Lake, Northwest Arkansas. There was a guy in that tournament that finished just out of the money in 32nd named Jerry McInnes. I just want everyone to know that. Now, let me ask you, do you think Mike Iaconelli has recovered enough to talk to you?
Have I recovered enough?
None of us
Let's give it a whirl here. Mike, you need to catch a limit of fish to close this thing out. I guess that's what you're working on.
Definitely, yeah. What I'm doing is I'm fishing, I've been fishing this all week. I'm fishing a little 6-inch finesse style worm, straight tail worm by Mann's, called a finesse dragon worm. And what I'm fishing on, more than the worm, the key is I'm fishing on a jig head. I'm fishing on an owner jig head. And that's really critical. What the jig head's doing is it's putting the worm in a nose down position. All the bottom in here is very silted in, real silty, real muddy bottom. So presenting a bait that's nose down is a better angle. So the jig head's key, and then the line is key. I'm using 6-pound Stren fluorocarbon. People look at me like I'm crazy when I say I'm fishing 6-pound line in Florida. But when it gets tough, and these fish are finicky like they are, light line makes the difference.
Have one more look at this leaderboard. Of course, it's been one of those days for Bud Pruitt. We all feel sorry for him. But 4 guys within half a pound, 5 guys within 1.5 pounds. Light line is what's gotten Mike Iaconelli back on top again. But the next 4 anglers are about 1 hook set behind. When we return, 3 of those 4 competitors are going to get at least 1 shot at winning this event. 3 will get a crack at knocking Ike off his perch. And Iaconelli himself, well, he'll get one more chance.
It's a giant.
It's going to be close. It's going to be great. Get ready for it. The Citgo Bassmaster Tour in the final moments of the first tour event of the year, Championship Day on the Harris Chain of Lakes. And what a race we have going on. Look at the top of the leaderboard. The guy who won the Classic at the last tournament all these guys were together at. Michael Iaconelli on top, 3 guys behind him within half a pound. And Tommy Martin right there, 1 quick fish away from a big lead himself. It doesn't get any tighter than that.
Boy, isn't that the truth? We got a half hour to go, so I think we ought to place each one of these anglers and show you exactly where they're going to finish up fishing today. Scott Rook is right where the Ocklawaha flows into Griffin. Stone still in Lake Harris, been there all day long. Bud Pruitt is back in Harris. Bud, come on, man, catch you one. Chapman all day in Denham. Martin right across from Marty Stone, and Iaconelli, you know where he's at. He's in that residential area right there in Leesburg. And Tommy, I keep thinking back about 2 guys who lost fish that, boy, could have really had an impact. First of all, Brent Chapman right here. Now, that was a small fish, maybe, but the fish that Scott Rook had on was not.
Oh, he come off, God, no, no. That was a 6 or 7 pounder.
If that was a 6 and 7 pounder, we'd have a whole new ball game here.
Absolutely. He'd be the guy in the lead by a long shot. That was early today, back to the present, and Scott Rook still working hard to get his limit.
Need to catch that limit now.
4.
Go in with 3 fish, 4 fish, you don't have a prayer.
Back over to Marty Stone, really the only guy who's fishing a moving bait today.
And you know what? For the most part, everybody is fishing the same lure that they started with. And Marty caught that fish off that one isolated brush pile back there.
Get in here, yeah! Yeah! Yes! That's the one I worked for all day long. Yes! Son, I said all week I hadn't caught me a 4.5, 5 pound fish. Done it now. I got a little 6-year-old son back home. He knows the deal of this thing. Every day he said, Daddy, you catch a big fish, buddy, I caught you a big fish today.
A major move for Marty Stone. Remember, this is the guy who finished dead last year, and he has made a big move, taking over the lead at this point.
And maybe that's the most important fish of the tournament at this point.
That's a good one.
And Scott Rook has never won, Tommy. He has never won a Bassmaster event. Could it be today? And could this be a 3.5 pounder down in that lily pad?
I was going to say, this fish could be the difference. He's gotten 1 good fish today and lost a tremendous fish. Let's take a look at this one.
Well, he's still on. At least the fish is still on. He's got to wrestle him around.
Good, but he's a keeper.
No, it's not.
Gives me 5.
It's not that big one.
I thought he was bigger than that.
Give Scott Rook a limit. Back over to Brent Chapman.
There he is. Stay on there. Stay on there.
We're in the final moments. Remember, 1 big fish could win it all for any one of these anglers.
What could these guys be doing more to make this exciting? Can you believe this?
Yeah. Yes. Look at that.
And every one of these guys have kind of been on the same pattern, but Brent Chapman right there pitched in a jig instead of his little plastic worm.
Told you that jig would pay off, didn't I? Look at that thing. Wasn't a mudfish that time.
Well, now we are down to it, counting casts. Mike Iaconelli is 3 minutes from the ramp, a total of 6 minutes till the gun goes off. Here's a guy who has about 4 casts left.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's a giant. Oh my God, it's a giant. Oh my God. Please. Ah! Ah! Never give up! Yeah! Ah! Oh man. We gotta go, 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 we gotta go. Woo! Ah! Woo! Yeah! 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 Woo! Yeah! 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 Woo!
Oh my God. Marty, that didn't just happen. Marty, that didn't just happen. Oh my God. Did that just happen? Yeah! Yeah! Woo! Woo!
Let's rock and roll. Man, we did all we could do. All I could do today. Oh, what I get for one more big fish.
Well, here's the thing, Marty may not need one more big fish. It is going to be close, maybe the closest ever. Do not, I repeat, do not miss the weigh-in. That's coming up next.
I got Canelli's got him. I thought I'm overdoing this. We talk about never giving up, you know, always fishing to the last minute. It just happened in the last tournament I fished at the Classic. With 7 minutes to go, I caught a good keeper. And that happened probably with about 3 minutes before I had to head back. It's just, I don't even know, I'm speechless. I mean, it's just, that's amazing, you know? God.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo, and in part by Bush, and by Purelator.
We are back in Leesburg, ready to settle this thing. Mike Iaconelli, he won the Classic. He came into this final day with the lead. Can he hang on and win 2 in a row? Marty Stone, who hasn't won in 5 years, finished dead last year. Who's going to take this thing? It's time for the weigh-in.
Are you ready? Like I said, anytime you don't catch a limit, it costs you money, and you feel like the bass got the best of you.
This one. There you go. Purelator Big Bass, you're going to be our leader. I guarantee you right now. 12 pounds, 7 ounces for Tony Martin. Purelator Big Bass, 6 pounds even, so 6-pound bass. It's Mr. Marty Stone, ladies and gentlemen. How about a round of applause from Linden, North Carolina? Oh, there you go. Check out the belly on that guy. Show those fish to the rest of America for the ESPN2 cameras. 15 pounds, 13 ounces. You are a new leader.
I had 6 bites today, and the sad thing is I feel like I'm going to be about a bite short, but we'll see. I caught that last one, that big one, about an hour and a half to go, and it's a wonder y'all didn't hear me here.
Now bring him on in. It's Mr. Brent Chapman from Shawnee, Kansas.
You know, I had a decent day, but don't know if we're going to have enough to beat Marty or not.
Oh, that's right. He needs 15 pounds, 12 ounces to take the lead. Oh, 14 pounds, 1 ounce. Come up just a little short. Yeah, how about it? For Mr. Scott Rook from Little Rock, Arkansas. There you go. He needs 14 pounds, 1 ounce, 12 pounds, 13 ounces. Scott.
Well, I figured when I lost that big one this morning, it was going to cost me, and it did.
This is our number 2 qualifier, Mr. Bud Pruitt, ladies and gentlemen. How about it for Bud?
So I just really didn't make any really good decisions today, and that's the way it goes sometimes, you know.
The 2003 Citgo Bassmaster Classic champion, Mike Iaconelli.
I want to say one thing about him, though. When he won the Classic, I was one of the ones that said, this guy, we'll look back 15 years from now, and he will be the one that changed the sport. And he is a great champion. Just to be able to, the last 2 here, that's an honor.
You got a monster in there?
It's about 9-7-6-5-4-3-2.
Oh, no. 5 fish, but it is going to be close. 12 pounds is what he needs. 8 pounds, 15 ounces for Mike Iaconelli. Marty Stone takes the first event of the Citgo Bassmaster Tour presented by Bush Beer of 2004.
The first tournament I ever won in '99, I was too scared to hold it up. But, buddy, this one's going up.
There you go, right there. How about it for him?
All right, congratulations, all congratulations to Marty Stone for his first victory in almost 5 years. Also, congrats for being on top of the Citgo Angler of the Year race. Of course, the rest of that list lays out like our tournament results here at the first event of the year, but a big prize, 100 grand waiting for the angler who can hang on to the top until year's end. And speaking of year's end, the Elite 50, that 4-tournament series, no entry fee, first ever for the top-ranked players in the world. The jockeying for positions in that has really begun in earnest.
It has started. And I tell you what, on the money list, we take the top 20 all-time money winners, and it didn't change any except in 19th and 20th place. Alton Jones and Peter Tavares switched places. Peter T is on the bottom right now. Points-wise, Brett Chapman and Bud Pruitt solidified their spots at the top of the list. Ken Cook fell out of the top 27 right now. And I tell you what, Takahiro Amore and Marty Stone, of all people, moved in contention. Not in the top 27, but they're in contention. We will take 50 guys, 20 money winners, 27 points, Classic winner, Angler of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and have a tremendous event at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And one more piece of good news for Marty Stone is 15-13 on this final day. To win it all also puts his name in the hat for the Bush Shootout coming up at the end of the year. And that 10-pound, 13-ounce big fish that Alton Jones caught, maybe the first fish caught of the year on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour, hung on to win him the Purolator Big Bass Award. But next week, we're off of the Florida strain and on to spotted bass at Smith Lake in Alabama. Predict.
Biggest spotted bass we've ever seen here at Bassmasters next week.
Could be some of the coldest weather as well.
Yeah, that's
That'll
right.
be one to watch, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.